goes into like so
weird crunchy jazz.
Weird crunchy jazz
in
with
the style of Shostakovich.
In the style of Shostakovich. That's
Sounds
it.
good.
That's it.
Toby, Medland, on
Hello.
the violin. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm really good.
Good. Thanks for having us in your studio, mate.
Thanks for having us on your podcast.
Pretty swish over here, man. I'm telling you.
I've always kind of focused on trying to develop my own improvisation. I'm not really interested in playing the vocab or playing kind of traditional bebop or traditional kind of gypsy jazz style. I just want to improv and try and say my own kind of thing, I guess.
Even Andrea Vigani was watching the football last night. He was literally sending us messages on WhatsApp being like, Italia! Going berserk over the football.
I struggle to believe that is true because sometimes they come up with things that not only are amazing but you never heard before.
Yeah, exactly.
Like some new incredible forms of expression. You're like, okay, either you come from another planet, or, you know.
Like, obviously, people improvise and it kind of represents their personality. I don't know, I'm a bit like dopey and I'm a bit weird, so I kind of improvise a bit dopey weird. I don't know, I'm guessing you quite like
From that solo though, I very much got, like long walks on the beach. Likes night out, we likes night into with the guys.
His middle name.
Loves Netflix.
Yeah.
So nice. Alright. Okay, here we go. again, Marcus. Penrose on the bass. How are you?
Hello, yeah, not too bad. Not too bad.
Very good. Giulio, I was pronouncing it right, Giulio, right?
Well done. You did your homework right.
Excellent. How are you doing? You okay?
I'm alright. How are you doing?
Very good, Sal, very good. Toby, MEDLAND, on the violin. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm really good.
Good. Thanks for having us in your studio, mate.
Thanks for having us on your podcast.
Pretty swish over here, man, I'm telling you. How long have you been putting this together? This is a lot of fancy pants stuff over here.
I've been putting it all together, including all the microphones and all the stuff, including like the software and everything for years. Lockdown, so the beginning of this whole pandemic thing was the kind of the kick into action of actually putting it together.
That was a lockdown project almost. Like,
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, so I built all these like panel type things and the panels behind Marcus Jr. I built them over lockdown. Bought a couple of new things.
Did you build these as well? Yeah.
I wish. They're really clever things, you know. They're called binary diffusers, and I don't really know how they work.
Is that pattern purely aesthetic, or is
that's what I was getting. That's what I was getting to. It's a binary pattern, so it's cut out. And if you ask someone who knew about science, they'd explain why. But basically, it reflects, diffracts, as it were, some frequencies and absorbs others. Because it's got holes and it's got absorbing material.
So the shape of the holes is bearing in mind what it wants to do sound-wise.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man.
It's funny because there's nothing like symmetrical about the patterns, is there?
Well, exactly that. It prevents build-up of more than
I was looking for like where the pattern repeats.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But it doesn't at all, does it?
Each frequency gets its like say, so nothing builds up.
And this studio, it saw a bit of action about a week ago, didn't it?
Did it?
Some fella turned up.
I don't know.
He gave it a go, didn't he?
Can't think.
Some person, who cares about him anyway?
Oh, that weird beardy kind of Viking guy.
And I can attest. It's a very good studio. Would recommend. But yeah, what's your plan? Is it just your home studio? You're going to be bringing people in to record in it, or?
Yeah. Well, I've always had for a couple of years now this kind of festival-y label type thing.
Yeah.
The festival obviously hasn't happened, but the label, we've got a kind of big charity release on there and stuff, and I'm actually taking that and moving it away from the festival and actually kind of doing a new label based on it. So some recordings. That recording, I don't know if we're allowed to talk about it, but that recording, which we alluded to,
one,
that will be one of the releases on it. I've got a few other releases, good artists coming in. I'm also going to do one of my own albums on the label. Obviously, you have to. And so this will be the kind of hub of that. For bigger bands, I've got the back room as well. So this is all portable. So obviously, this is more like a trio quartet approach.
Just a starter.
Yeah, exactly. It's a journey.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I had a job interview this morning, which would mean I'll be able to afford some new stuff.
It's a nice thing to have, like in London, like a studio that is essentially run by a Gypsy Jazz musician, right? It's going to be central to the scene. If anybody wants recording, like this will be where they turn up, I guess.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, it's hard to know, but yeah. Also, I mean, because I play Gypsy Jazz, I like to think that my mixing and mastering kind of style will suit that.
Know how it's meant to sound.
And also, I kind of planned the treatment in this room based on Gypsy Jazz, because with Gypsy Jazz, my conception of it is you don't want to use too much kind of artificial reverb and stuff. It has to be relatively dead, but also it doesn't want to be completely dead, so this room has a bit of a kind of...
Well, the thing is with Gypsy Jazz, I think as an aesthetic, like when I think of Gypsy Jazz, I think small acoustic in a small room or outside or something. It doesn't necessarily want like grand studio treatment, right? You want to be able to kind of keep that aesthetic. Right?
Yeah.
Like you want to capture the sound of like the inside of a caravan.
Wow, that would be a deal, wouldn't it? Yeah.
So we should record in the bathroom.
Yeah.
No, too much reverb there.
Oh yeah, true.
Well, you haven't seen his bathroom.
I haven't yet, but I know there's too much reverb.
Yeah. And so this is the first time I've met you, and you live in Acton then.
I do.
Yeah, but you've been there for ages, like.
I've been there for a while, yeah.
Was that the first place you lived in the UK then? Or?
It kind of was. There was a bit of roaming around at the beginning. Let's say, some mates were helping out. Sometimes I would crash in a sofa, or sometimes I would crash in a different house sofa.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we've all been through that. But yeah, no, I mean, Acton's definitely been, where I'm based, where I've been based the most in my life. I guess, yeah. And
so I don't know how much playing you do with Filippo now because he's away, but Gypsy Dynamite, that was your thing with Filippo, right?
Gypsy Dynamite, yeah, it still is, to be honest. It's not something that we don't think of it as over. In fact, he was actually supposed to come back and do a few gigs. you know, in the whole of July, and obviously this won't be happening because we still have restrictions and things, this wouldn't have been possible anyway. So yeah, I mean, what I'm trying to say is that we try and keep it on. We did a recording September last year, a new one actually, our second album that features only original tunes, which we you know, we worked on for 4 or 5 years, something like that. We're really proud of it. So the whole point of that was to tour, and obviously COVID happened, and so it's all postponed, but it's still there, and it's still well alive. And
you still the tours couldn't happen, but you still want to do that at some point.
Oh yeah. I mean, like we both do want to do that. We're trying to keep it alive, and you know, obviously, if me and Filippo are not around and it's a Gypsy Dynamite thing, people will step in and like you know, but it's still there.
Because when he was on the podcast, which was a while ago now, he was very much between here and Berlin.
Yes.
Now he's just in Berlin, pretty much.
He did relocate there, absolutely. He's,
well, I heard he's probably watching the football last night anyway.
Oh, well, I don't know if he was, to be honest.
No?
He probably,
Even Andrea Vigani was watching the football last night, and he's always talking about how little he likes football. Mm-hmm. But he's literally sending us messages on WhatsApp being like, Italia! Going berserk over the football, like.
Yeah. I was that was supposed to be the first match of the Euros I was gonna watch, and then you know I had to play, and I was like, okay, probably I'm not supposed to watch any match this year, and you know, probably be.
Do you know what though? That's one of my least favourite things about being a musician. Like I'm quite into sport and football, and I just miss so much of it because I'm gigging. Okay, it's great.
The amount of times we've been at a gig together and you've had your like phone on the floor, watching the cricket or something.
Yeah. One time, I remember one time at Signature Brew, like. It was a test match in the cricket, so they last quite long. And there was like an hour and a half left, and it was really a good day, like anything could happen. So the game was still going on, and we set up, but I just had one headphone in my ear, and I just had test match special, just listened to the commentary.
You did alright multitasking.
So, you know, we'd be doing this, and I'd be like, oh, for fuck's sake! Whatever, like, another wicket.
We never asked him back for another gig after that.
You know, apart from that and being poor, being a musician's alright, isn't it?
It's alright.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a lifestyle choice.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, it is.
I've not got much money, but I got loads of exposure.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
Gonna take that to the bank one day and get a mortgage.
Exposure to famine and disease.
I think if you're a musician, that word kind of scares you actually. When you hear exposure, you're like, okay, that's like hearing COVID-19 basically.
Yeah.
It's like the same kind of vibe. Isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's still important though. I mean, it's not a replacement for money, but you know, you do need, if you're trying to build a career, you need someone to give you that.
All right, yeah.
Notice you.
If you know,
that's true.
It's not as important. It's a different thing, but
we were talking about Paul McCartney earlier on. If he wanted me to play on his album, I'd do it for the exposure. That gig, you know what I mean? If I'm playing at the Swan and Duck down the road, like at least want a little bit of money, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just always think like. If it's a gig where
Paul McCartney's listening to this,
if you're offered,
finally, I've always wanted a dodgy rhythm player. Brilliant.
if we're offered exposure, but there is someone involved in the thing who is making a load of money, then that's the only time it annoys me really.
Yeah. True.
I don't mind doing.
There was a guy I was talking to, and he did some session work in like the 70s and 80s and stuff, and he was saying it was really grand back then, but nowadays. The market's a lot more flooded. There are lots more players all coming out of the universities, really high level players. And the touring pop artists, they know that they can just ask, oh, we'll only give exposure, and somebody will take that gig. And like, I can't remember who he was telling me about, like his, I don't know, friend's daughter or something. It's a bass player, was playing for Jessie J. I don't know if you heard of her, she's like a pop singer. Pretty successful. Yeah, did like a whole like European tour, like no money. Like they obviously she got expenses for like hotel and she was fed, but a European tour, no money at all.
When like the management and Jessie J.
Yeah, they were making a fortune. Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, that's pretty sad to hear.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, I was really wanting to play in her band, but I wasn't.
She's a favourite.
I think if McCartney did ask you, he'd offer you a few quid.
I'd hope so. Yeah, he's got a few, hasn't he? He's got a few bob lying about the place, hasn't he?
I'd like to think he would anyway.
Yeah.
I'd like to think he would.
Alright lads, let's play a tune.
Let's do that.
Bye bye Birdland.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Okay.
Just came to mind.
I'm just going to check it's still recording.
Splendido?
Splendido.
Splendid.
Is that Italian? Did I just speak
It
Italian?
is, yeah, it is.
No way.
I was like, is he taking the piss or does he actually know what he's
I
saying?
say it all the time just because it's a funny way of saying
He says splendido.
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 Bravo, well done.
Well good. Alright, wicked. Got the gig.
Got the gig.
pretty cool. Where's the marimba solo?
Oh, no, that's not marimba, that's I don't know what that is.
That's something. Right?
That's something. A marimba's one of those hitty mallet things, right?
That's not one of those, you idiot. That's a...
You know what's
with all due respect for marimba players, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. What I was thinking during that, I was loving your like kind of bouncy content. That was really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really, it kind of crossed my mind that I don't want to sound too much like, oh, jazz is amazing, blah, blah, but it's kind of interesting how like, obviously we don't know each other socially that well, but like I kind of got a bit of your
Although
personality.
we recorded together once, I think, remotely during COVID.
Oh yeah, we did. We're best friends. We're best mates. I remember that.
Was that for that?
No, that was a different thing. That was for trios. Yeah,
Trios
my memory's
Manouche.
good. No, but I was just thinking that it's really cool how like obviously people improvise and it kind of represents their personality and like people improvise how their personality is. So like I don't know, I'm a bit like dopey and I'm a bit weird, so I kind of improvise a bit dopey weird. I don't know. I'm guessing you're quite like kind of like that. I don't know.
Yeah, it is a.
Yeah.
I find no after you.
No, I was just going to say something stupid about.
Well, go on then.
Well,
Well,
that's
gonna
why
say-
I say after
I was
you.
just going to say I was going to ask for what your assessment of Giulio's personality would be based on.
Oh right. Yeah. Well,
Very pleased to hear that.
Careful now, careful.
like.
Don't say drag addict or anything.
I feel like you wouldn't want people to. If someone said something, you wouldn't want there to be no response, so they felt awkward. You know, kind of got that sense. Is that true?
If someone said something.
So if someone said something a bit awkward, like if I said something awkward and everyone was a bit quiet, I feel like you'd be one of the people to be like
stepping into the
stepping
silence.
in to help out.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Or not.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what
good.
I
No, I mean, I never thought of me like that, but actually thinking about it, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I wouldn't let silence flow by.
Yeah.
From that solo though, I very much got, he likes long walks on the beach. He likes night out, he likes night into with the guys.
His middle name,
loves
yeah.
Netflix.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know. It just crossed my mind, you know.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, probably I'm gonna sound like I'll say something that sounds deep, but actually it's not.
That's
Like,
what we're here for.
guess you cannot really explain music in words, so it's like.
It's like an aspect of the personality which isn't like. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because I guess what I'm trying to say is that you're right in saying what you just said. Also, there are some things that are undefinable, that are mysterious about musicians and the way they play, and it's just.
The musical personality, which isn't necessarily the same as.
Yeah. There is a mysterious hidden side of us when we play. I find that.
Yeah.
no
I guess
one
there's
would
some
know.
people that play kind of the opposite if you'd imagine them to. Like, can't think of an example.
Well,
but,
it's
some
true
people
actually.
are kind of shred
Sometimes
and they're quite a quiet kind
you
of person.
get like really quiet, introverted guys or gals that play very bombastic, loud, out there kind of music.
Expressing that side of themselves that is usually hidden away.
Yes, indeed, maybe.
Yin and yang.
Yes.
Ego and the other one.
Id?
No, super ego. It's
Super
like
ego?
sexual. Maybe it's it. I don't know. That's good.
Ask someone. out
That's
there.
someone.
That's for another
Right in.
podcast. So tell me this,
Comment
because
below.
Yeah.
the other day you told me, Toby, that you don't learn licks.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever met an improvising jazz musician that doesn't have like a bank of licks that is almost the bulk of their improvising. And you're like, I've never learned any licks. What are you learning when you practice? What, you know what I mean? Like what?
No, I get what you mean. Well, this isn't to say that I don't play licks and don't play the same thing over and over again. And like obviously we have
You've got your favourite things.
But yeah, I've never sat down and learned either someone else's lick or worked out a lick and kind of gone over it. I don't even transcribe actually, to be honest.
Right.
I've always kind of focused on trying to develop my own improvisation.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds a bit vain, and I'm not saying I don't want to sound like I think that what I play is the be all and end all, but I mean in terms of what I'm interested in, I'm not really interested in playing the vocab or playing kind of traditional bebop or traditional kind of gypsy jazz style. I just want to improv and try and say my own kind of thing, I guess.
So I guess it wasn't like, because a lot of people, when you hear a record, it's often like, I'll hear just a bit in the song, I think that sounds mint, and I'll just try and steal it basically. I'll try and learn it and then maybe twist it to your own thing, but you maybe never had that when you listen to...
No, never. I do have to say, so when I say I don't transcribe, I never do what traditional, transcribing, either writing it down or copying it. Oh, got it.
Yeah, no.
I do often like to play along to records. So if I whack on a kind of old jazz album, if I whack on some Sunny Still or whatever, I often kind of play along. So especially if it's a standard
to the solo.
To the solo. So the solo is playing on, and I'm kind of actively playing along and kind of listening. And sometimes when they play something, I'll go play something kind of similar and trying to sort of call in response to what they play. But I find that a really good way because it keeps you kind of flowing, keeps your flow flowing. Also, you're kind of picking up the language and the style.
I was going to say, if you're trying to mimic it, like almost by definition, you're going to have to play it in the style.
100%, exactly. And that really, that's like actively...
It's quite interesting.
But, I mean, the thing about licks is that we all do play them whether we like them or not, because like we basically make a translation of what, the big guys are playing, and really that doesn't really matter whether you write it, as in like you transcribe it on a piece of, because I cannot do that myself. So I know exactly what you mean. I mean, I have a decent ear when I listen. I try to sort of like, sometimes if I like something, I wouldn't say I would copy it, but what I wanna try and do is to understand why does that thing sound like that, and how to apply that in my own way, and to apply that in different keys, and knowing why and where.
Yeah. Because it's really like, how do you achieve that flavour or whatever? And one lick might unlock it, but it's like you take the lick and then you work out, well, this is the bit that gave it that flavour, so I can take that and do something else with it, approach it in a different way or whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because I find that sometimes like you can tell when there are people who literally learn licks by heart and then they can't replicate them because... Obviously, as soon as you change the key of a tune. And they don't, as a result, it's because they don't fully understand what is making that lick sound what it is. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's the thing as well, like, I don't know, I'm not like a huge theory head, but I know just enough to be able to unlock licks. So like there'll be a lick and I'm like, well, I can see how it fits onto a chord. Now I can copy and paste that on a neck because we're guitar players and we can be visual and stuff. Just enough to kind of work out why it sounds as it does. Yeah.
I mean,
see, I like to try and do that, but I don't really... See, I'm really into theory and stuff, but there might be an element of it, because I started when I was a kid, and so I can't really help it. I kind of internalise some of the stuff, but like, fundamentally, if I hear something in a kind of vibe or a style, I can try and mimic that style, but I don't really pay attention to the actual notes of the theory behind it. I just kind of play in a similar style. And I usually just make something up, but I don't know if that makes any sense, but I don't rationalise. There's no rationality behind it. I'm just like, try and play it like that and try and play it like that.
Yeah, but I mean, there's the brain is acknowledging something there.
Because
it's like, I did a workshop with Moses Rosenberg. You know Moses Rosenberg?
Yeah.
Like, ludicrously good player, like one of the best. And he doesn't know any of, like, the notes on the neck, and he doesn't really know what each shape is. He just kind of remembers their old tunes and stuff, and he doesn't know any theory at all. But he knows that his brain knows the sounds. It's a little bit like, it's a little bit like if you knew a path from here to the house on the hill or something, but you didn't know how to say left or right. But I know I know where it is. I recognise the road and I know where.
I won't get lost.
Yeah, exactly.
You couldn't describe it.
Couldn't describe it in terms of.
It's a nice analogy.
Yeah, exactly.
It is actually very nice.
I've always thought theory. It's just a roadmap, and you learn the theory, but once you know it well enough, you don't need to keep looking at the map.
Well, it's like looking up a nice walk on the Ordnance Survey map when planning out.
I'm like, how do I get that lovely walk? How do I get that sound?
Yeah.
Read it in a book. Oh, you this over that.
Do you still use Ordnance Surveys? I got Google.
I mean, if you do
I've got the app, Ordnance Survey app.
Ordnance Survey app. Sorry, John.
If you actually do think that even guys like Ireli, I heard somebody saying to me like, that it actually doesn't know most of the time what he's doing harmonically and theoretically.
Apparently Joe Pass wasn't so good at that either.
Yeah, he well,
but you will struggle to believe that is true because sometimes they come up with things that not only are amazing but you never heard before.
Yeah, exactly.
Like some new, incredible forms of expression. You're like, okay, either you are, you come from another planet.
Yeah. Or, Well, but really, it's not beyond the realm of possibilities.
It is possible he comes from another planet.
There's Dennis Chang.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he did one of those Dennis Chang learning the style of videos, and there's like a sort of a blooper reel essentially, and they're speaking in French, but there's subtitles, and he's like, so play this lick. But he's like, okay. And he says, and now say, this is a 2-5-1, da-da-da. And he goes, okay. And he says, well, according to Dennis Chang, this is a 2-5-1 in a thing, but I don't know this stuff. Like, he doesn't even know. And I was like, yes, even I can see what that is. Like, he doesn't know. He never learned it that way, you know. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I remember watching this video of a masterclass of Pirelli, and at some point it's like the guy behind the camera, it's like, oh, you know, you play that scale. I think he says like F minor pentatonic or something. He's like, what? Which one? Like,
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, this one. Ah, okay.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And he's like, and you're like, nah, man, this can't be true. You know? Like,
it's crazy.
I've got to say, going back a little bit, my approach cannot be compared to people like Pirelli or Tobas because
I think that's understood. Yeah.
I think you have to spend time in prison, don't you?
I guess so. What I kind of mean is like those guys don't know it. They're just instinctively incredibly good musicians. You know, they can do that. I kind of was trained or sort of know this sort of stuff, but kind of don't bother thinking about it, which is the kind of difference. They're geniuses. I'm just lazy.
You learned like some classical stuff.
Yeah, well, exactly.
You did that, I guess, before you went to jazz, right?
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of know-how from that as well. Like.
Well, yeah, exactly. I did composition at some places.
I guess they also had to sort of like really be on it due to the fact that they had less tools than us to learn. I mean, like we can learn whatever we want whenever we want.
Robin Hogan on YouTube.
Yeah.
Basically, whatever. Yeah, for example. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that they had to probably use a vinyl if they had a vinyl player and just, you know, get it back to the point and listen to the same thing, and you know,
100%.
must have been tough, even tougher for them. Actually,
you just
they had to innovate. That's why they were so innovative, because they didn't really have a choice but to kind of come up with stuff like.
Yeah.
Yes, so yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, another tune.
Yeah.
What do we fancy?
Green Dolphin Street.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Let's do that. QC.
Beautiful QC.
Not in the Kizzy. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not E flat.
Do you want to do that little that sort of bossa swing, or just swing it all the way through?
Bossa swing for a change would be nice. So
Yeah.
bossa on the A's and swing on the B side. Yeah. Okay.
I'll do that little C thingy as an intro, right?
Okay.
Yeah, okay. nice. Nice for that.
That ending was so in tune.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wicked, man, wicked. So what about your album then? You got this album that's going to be happening at some point? Yeah.
Oh, it's all in the works. It's exciting.
It's all
It's
many
good.
irons and many fires.
Irons and fires?
Yeah, you got many irons in the fire.
Is that a phrase? Is that normal
So
thing?
yeah,
Is that normal thing?
It means you got a lot going on.
Like fingers in pies
Fingers
or
in
something
pies,
like
Fingers
that.
in pies? I know that one.
Irons and pies, fingers and pies. Are there any others?
Bows to your string, kind of. But
Yeah,
that means
no,
Wood
you've
chips
got
in the
yeah.
wood chip bin.
Coal
in the coal shed.
Turkeys in the shed. That's a classic. Turkeys in the shed. You know. I made
Notes
that
in
one
the
up.
scales. But yeah. I've got so basically I've written all the tunes we started rehearsing. But they're all originals.
Well, what's it going to sound like? What kind of tunes are these? How would you describe them? If they were a personality, what personality would they be?
Me. No, well, they're kind of elements of like kind of contemporary classical. So there's a lot of it is written rather than improvised. It's like most of them kind of go through they're written out with some like kind of I want to say 20th century kind of classical stuff. So more like kind of inspired by like Shostakovich and Bartok and people like that. Prokofiev, those kind of dudes. And it's kind of slightly weird, I guess, crunchy, but then, you know, jazz at the same time, so it goes into like so
weird crunchy jazz.
Weird crunchy jazz
in
with
the style of Shostakovich.
In the style of Shostakovich. That's
Sounds
it.
good,
That's it. There's a couple bits with like free improv. It's all written. As I say, we started rehearsing. Had the first rehearsal the other day with rhythm player Sol.
Sol Grimshaw,
yeah.
Cool, exciting.
Yeah.
Look forward to it. What about you guys? Have you got anything happening? Anything projects on the go, ready to tear out of lockdown? Some cool stuff.
To be honest, I'm in a phase of just emerging from the darkness. Really,
Yeah,
and trying to wake up
I hear you,
and
man. Much
find out.
relate. Yeah.
It feels like a lot of stuff that was happening before COVID. I don't know, with the big gap, it's like, is this going to happen anymore?
Totally,
like
totally,
previous
yeah.
projects. So
Totally.
it's time of working stuff out, really.
Well, it's just been so
figuring out.
hard to hit the ground running because when the first COVID hit and lockdown hit, everyone was looking, okay, in a couple of months we'll be out of this. And so you keep trying to sort of kickstart these things.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to it, it's extension of lockdown.
12 years later. Oh, only a couple of months
Yeah,
later.
well, this is it, innit? So it's been hard to really like, should I start this project up again? Because who knows?
Yeah.
You know?
Sort of given up forward planning, really.
Yeah, tell me about it.
But trying to do lots of writing and try and put things in place and.
What's your
hopefully
trio?
Aurelius.
Is that still
Yeah.
Is that still going?
Yeah, but the trouble is that our drummer sort of moved back to Croatia at the start of the first lockdown.
Sack him for a Gypsy Jazz rhythm guitar.
Okay. Yeah. But hopefully we'll get him back over to do some more recording and stuff. But, yeah, we shall see.
Yeah, man. Exciting. And how about yourself? You got anything coming up in the next?
I do actually. My second album is coming out in September. On the 11th of September, yeah. It's called Interlock.
Interlock.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it features 11 original tunes of mine, 2 of which I've recorded in my previous album, but I've rearranged.
Okay.
One with vocals and quartet, and the other one with the string section.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it was
Very nice.
a hell of a job actually.
No doubt.
Did you do the arranging?
I did do. I mean, we co-wrote the arranging with the arrangement with my pianist Kiko.
Okay, cool.
Which I say hi to if he's listening. Ciao Kiko. And also the Ayub sisters were playing on this tune. They added the magic touch, and they definitely added their own magic notes as well. You know, like just sort of like.
How do you go about getting a string quartet to play?
It was a duo actually, like cello and violin. But what they did, they made many overdubs.
Oh, okay. So it's 2 people but performing.
So you feel like it's a bit of an orchestra going on. It's actually
pretty cool.
2 of them. Yeah. I shouldn't have spoiled that maybe, but it's too late.
The magic has been.
The magic is no longer there.
What style of tunes are they?
It's mainly jazz. There's
Like
I would,
straight
to be
ahead.
honest with you, it's hard to describe because there's a lot of lads in, a lot of swing tunes. There's some stuff that is really like 80s vibes, like
Cool.
I wouldn't say Benson-ish because it's not like the sort of
I
like.
thought it was like Phil Collins or
No,
something in the
no,
80s. That's what I thought you meant.
No, not quite. I would call it fusion jazz and Latin.
Nice,
like that.
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm looking forward to it. It took a while and it was recorded during the, I believe it was the second lockdown.
Okay.
So it was a bit of a gamble because we didn't really know whether, I didn't really know whether this could have been done. So until the last minute I had musicians on hold, studio on hold.
Yeah.
It was a nightmare. But
It's done now.
But you got it.
It's done now.
Yeah, amazing. And so that's getting released in September?
It's gonna be released in September. Quite looking forward to it. There's gonna be an album launch as well, which will happen not that far from you actually, Toulouse-Lautrec. Have you heard?
Yeah. Excellent.
Nolan.
Tell me about it well.
Yeah, it's
Done.
one of my favorite venues in town. So.
Did some sessions there. This is a shout out to the cameras, the mics. Check out gjfl.com. I think that's what it is. Link in the description below. There's loads of sessions recorded at this lovely, really, really nice venue run by this awesome guy, Nolan, of some Gypsy Jazz.
Yeah.
I got shy.
Have you got a
I tried to do that YouTuber thing of, hey, like and subscribe. I'm built for that.
It's not easy,
It's not easy.
It's so weird
Promoting.
just being on your own in a room with a camera and just trying to speak like a normal human being. It's bloody impossible, actually. Like, you have to do 1,000 takes. Like, speaking of Toulouse-Lautrec, I saw Remy Harris there.
Nice.
What a player.
Really good.
Incredible.
It was just him and a bass player. It's like a duo. It's really good. Really, really good. He did his usual thing where he brings down like 7 or 8 guitars, which I would guess is about 12-15% of his collection. You know, he's got a lot of them. And then, so he played a little bit on one of these, and then he did like Nature Boy on a 12-string. Which is really nice, really good. And then he'd bring out, a Strat and play some Hendrix.
12-string. What's a 12-string? Each string doubled.
Everything doubled an octave.
In octaves.
Apart from these two are the same, I think, right? I don't think you could really get an octave of that up.
I don't.
Is that right? Is that right?
I don't know. Do you know what? I think 12-string guitar I might have played it once in my life.
Yeah.
After 19 years of playing guitar, I think I've only played it once.
Yeah.
And that one time I did, I broke a string. so that's why my memory is a bit confused about it. Like,
yeah. But the thing is, you play it. It's a bit like a mandolin in the sense that you play it just like this. So if I want to hit that, you've always got to strike the other string as well.
Yeah, you're always
hitting
strike
two strings.
the double.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah. Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven. That that bit is on 12 strings. He gets the twin neck SG. He does it live.
Yeah.
One's 6 string, and one's 12 string. So what's that? 18 strings.
That's about 18 strings. That's a very expensive instrument to keep, basically. Yeah. But I must admit that it's a very fascinating sound, 12-string guitar.
It's just really cool. Yeah.
I guess if you play every tune with it, it might become a bit too much.
But the thing of it is, I've only heard a 12-string for kind of folky, strummery, dummery.
Yeah. Technical term.
Yeah, strummery, dummery. But he was playing Nature Boy on it and doing little solos and this really nice kind of.
There's this one version, I think, if I remember well, it's done on 12 strings and I love it. It's a Goodbye Pot Pie Hat obviously by Mingus, but recorded by John McLaughlin on 12-string guitar,
nice.
which I really recommend listening to because it's when I heard it I was like, oh god, I didn't know that 12-string guitar could sound so well, wow.
Yeah, there can only be a handful of jazz recordings with a 12-string. So it's hardly anything at all.
There's some stuff with 8-string guitar. I don't know if you guys know Roberto Gismonti, Brazilian composer. Some of these Brazilian guys have this 8 or 10-string guitars, and they've got this very maybe not 10, I guess 8. They've got this low.
George Van Epps made a 7-string guitar with a low B, I guess, and John Pizzarelli uses one of those, and it's kind of funny because he's doing octaves.
Does he have an 8 one? No, John Pizzarelli.
Yeah. Because when he's doing octave, it's and then at the bottom. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, the geography of your instrument changes completely. I wouldn't know where to start.
And then there was Lenny Breau. Do you know Lenny Breau? He was a really good fingerstyle player.
Okay.
He was.
Oh, hang on. Yeah.
He was pretty much the guy that. He kind of really pioneered that in a jazzy way.
Gotcha.
And like anyway.
I think I know the guy.
He had a high A string on his. So he had a 7-string classical guitar with a high A string.
Ah. Okay. No, I don't know the guy.
Yeah. He was amazing. Definitely check him out. It was unbelievable. He got murdered in like the 80s, and it was a
poor chap.
Well, it's a frightful thing to happen. Yeah, he was murdered, and it was unsolved, but everybody thinks it's his wife that drowned him in a pool. But there's a really good documentary with.
Preserved it. Never took the bins out or anything.
Well, if that's the case,
say that
I'm in trouble.
You'd edit that out.
There's a really good documentary about Lenny Breau made by his daughter. I can't remember the name of the daughter, but it's got people like Chet Atkins, because this guy Lenny Breau started as a country player. He's got Chet Atkins, George Benson does a bit on it, like loads of really famous jazz guitar players all praising like how
featured on it,
insanely good he was.
Yeah, no, I still do love fingerstyle a lot. And
well, I noticed you've got some claws going on.
I do, actually.
Yeah.
Some of them are very useful, actually. No, I do. I always loved it. I still do it. Sometimes I do, very rarely, I do solo shows. And like when they call me for it, and
a classical guitar doing...
Yeah, either classical or acoustic, just like arranging all this like...
Oh, nice. Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah, man, that's amazing.
Yeah, and that comes from that particular inspiration anyway. Yeah, nails can be,
Martin Taylor goes to like a nail specialist every month to like keep his...
With manicure.
I suppose.
Some people use fake ones for the right hand anyway, as far as I know. Like, or they use this like, I wouldn't call it gel, like this product to tap them up a bit, like this.
I considered getting getting the fake nails because I just wanted something that I could put on at a gig and take them off afterwards. Because I tried some of those like bluegrassy finger things.
Yeah,
God, they're hard work. Yeah.
You either play that all the time, like I don't think I can't remember. I don't think Chet Atkins was even using that. It was more like
I think he had a thumb pick and.
He had the thumb pick, but he was using nails, and you can tell the difference. I mean, like, I think you really want to use those with like big acoustic guitars, like 12, like those are very, very. How shall we say? Very powerful. Like.
Well, but also often they're made of metal. Yeah. And that has a bit of an odd sound, to be honest. So I think it actually works well on a banjo, which I think is what they were really designed for in the first place.
Actually, you're
and
right.
that metallic sound actually kind of complements the twanginess of a banjo. But because like Joe Pass was saying this thing about how obviously he did lots of fingerstyle, but he used the plectrum too. But he was saying that part of the reason he likes playing with his fingers and his nails is because you feel the instrument better. And he's like a saxophone player has a reed in his mouth and with the plectrum, there's like a degree of separation between you and the instrument, you know what I mean? He just felt he had better control over it. I see what he means. I think it's quite a good point. It doesn't mean you sound bad with the plectrum, but...
No, he definitely has a point. Yeah. It's almost like, I don't know, I compare it to playing a piano sometimes when you do like fingerstyle, because it's like, you need to take care of every single thing that is happening in the instrument, which isn't just like, you're obviously strumming and obviously there are techniques you study for that, so I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying that if I'm doing you need to think about the bass, you need to think about the dynamic of each note, you need to think about there's a million things you have to bear in mind, and at the same time playing the right strings with the right hand. So it's, I guess that's probably what he means by that.
I think so, yeah.
You gotta be on it like completely. Like sometimes with the plectrum we sort of like, I guess.
Cheating.
Yeah, no, but like
like
spoiled a bit, like.
Yeah.
Well, you've got that with the bass. You got that kind of double hand kind of focusy thing.
Yes.
Focusy
thing.
Yeah.
It's like jazz language. This.
Yeah.
Improvising it. Violin's got to be one of the most like difficult to master techniques.
Yeah, it's tricky because it's everything's on a micro scale kind of deal. Like, I mean, obviously, as the opposite to the bass, which is on a macro scale, that's got its different.
I'm always astonished when I tried to play a bit of violin.
All right. Well, what I was going to say about the bass is there's obviously similar kind of mechanism, but everything's so big, so that's kind of hard on that end of the spectrum. But I mean, it is difficult. It's renowned for being difficult. Like,
well, it's just the learning curve. Like, I mean, okay, guitar, you've got to try and get a bit of that going. A piano is just like donk. I can play the notes. It's music happens. Push the buttons. But that, like, it takes ages just to get it sound remotely pleasant.
I guess similar with like horns and like especially brass instruments. It's quite hard to just pick one up and play. But yeah, I mean, it is tricky. Like, a lot of you have to play your scales and stuff. You can't. With some instruments, you can kind of get away with just jamming out and practicing and that kind of practice. But with this, like, if you don't practice your scales and your basic kind of do your warm ups before every practice session and stuff, you just can't really play it in tune, or it sounds all scratchy and very important to do all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's just you're right. It's an instrument you can't really get away with.
You can't. There's nothing to hide behind.
Jamming it. Like,
yeah. I mean, people do, and they do it very successfully. But
you can.
No, okay. Well,
not to you, not to your ear.
Well, no, that's what I mean. Like people do that, but if people don't do the basic kind of technical stuff, it does usually sound. You can't usually pick up on that kind of. Or slightly out of tune. And
it's true. But you know what's funny though, like...
Because on guitar, you don't... I mean, don't get me wrong, I know you have to do your certain types of practice, but...
you can get away with...
This is a lot of practice right here.
That's what I mean. You don't have to kind of have the same...
Turn the tuner on.
I think playing with the bow as well sort of exposes so much, doesn't it? Because you've got a sustained note.
Yeah.
And at the same time as trying to maintain a very...
And you've got to be able to control the bow too.
Exactly.
Which, I mean, it's similar to a pick. Plectrum in that it's a thing you used to play it.
But you're right. You've got to be constantly breathing life into that note. Whereas this, once you set it off, it sucks away.
And you can't you have to concentrate it. So if you if you get to here and you stop concentrating, that was obviously an exaggeration, but like it just loses it.
That's pretty heavy.
Yeah, it's a silly instrument.
Plus you don't have frets either, so it's like...
Well, exactly. That's why scales are so important.
What kind of an instrument is this?
They teach you when they remind you.
I mean,
like your fingers.
A guitar player, even if he's drunk and he can actually see the fret, you probably sort of like...
You've got to
play Wonderwall at least.
There, do you know what I mean?
And not saying because I normally play drunk, obviously.
You're the only one who doesn't.
I've never seen you drink on a gig.
No, I know. Same here, like...
I've seen you drink, but usually there's two of you. Like
I've seen you both drink.
Cool, guys. Well, look, we're getting about there. So
I'm going to save my thing.
Thanks for coming along, chaps.
Thanks very much.
Yes.
We'll have a bite to eat after this. Let's play a tune. What do we fancy? Last one.
How I don't know.
Yeah. Do I remember the chorus?
Which we can't see now because it's too early anyway, but...
And we're inside.
And we're inside.
Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe. You know what to do. Check out all these guys' social medias, links in the description, blah, blah, blah. Here we go. How do we? Nice, cool, nice one.
Sorry I went so weird. Don't know what happened. I was carried away with weird.